And then, of course, here, live look at Clearwater Beach, where you can see the surf picking up, and we anticipate it'll only continue to do so here as the storm tracks further north and past our Tampa Bay area. Of course, watching Clearwater Beach and all of our barrier islands and beaches as that surge threat does continue here this evening and into tomorrow morning.
And Bobby pointing out that the counties, Citrus County, Hernando County, those areas north to where this is expected to make landfall, that is where we're going to see the highest potential surge, right? With 8 to 12 feet anticipated. And Crystal River is one of the areas that we know is going to potentially see a lot of the high waters.
Yeah, take the brunt of this. And we do have 10 Tampa Bay's Eric Lasser. He is in Crystal River right now, giving us a look at the preparations and conditions there right now.
Well, here in Crystal River on the west side of US 19, the tide is already starting to come up in those single family and condo communities. You can see those finger inlets that come into the neighborhood already starting to come up. This is just from the king tide and full moon, and then another 7 to 12 feet of storm surge being predicted on top of this. If you look up, you can see the clouds are starting to darken, the edges of the storm starting to move into the area. And folks in these neighborhoods are starting to heed the warning about getting out of those neighborhoods on the west side of US 19. Joining me right now is Tommy Hicks. Tommy, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. You said that you've lived here now since, I think you said 1993.
Yes.
And in that, in 93, there was a no-name storm essentially that came through here. Can you describe what that storm did?
Well, it put 18 inches of water in these units here. And my mother was here. I wasn't here at that time, but yeah, it did flood it. And we had 18 inches then, and we recovered pretty quickly from that one.
And then you said that Hurricane Hermine, which came through a few years ago, you were here for that.
Yeah, now Hermine was different. I was here thinking it was going to go further out. It was probably an irresponsible move on my part to stay here and try to ride that out. But I saw that it was coming in, and fortunately I had a big four-wheel drive truck, and I drove out in front of the storm, which I would never do again. Don't recommend that to anybody.
I was going to say, and you made that decision, you told me, because the water started coming in a way that you were not prepared for.
I was not prepared for the phenomena of the rising water. And so this time I'm getting out here way before the storm gets here.
What was it like when the water started to come up?
It was coming up literally inches at the time. You could see it rising, and it was so alarming. And I just threw the breakers, locked up, got in the truck, and drove out as it was coming up. And it was just a phenomenal amount of water. You would not think that it could rise that fast. And
even though you watch these, the forecast right now of the storm moving perhaps a little bit farther offshore, for you, just the idea of a 7 to 12-foot storm surge is nothing you want to mess with.
I do not want to mess with that at all. No, I don't want to be here when that water comes in. We recovered from the 2 floods or high water marks from last time. We can do that again, but you can't save yourself from that kind of high water.
And so your recommendation to folks maybe who haven't been through this like you have?
Go to higher ground. Yeah, go west of 19. Don't ride this out at all. Don't think you can.
All right, Tommy, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the advice. And that is probably good advice, not just from Tommy Hicks, who has again been here through this a couple of times, but also from officials here in Citrus County who have asked people in Zone A, which is all the property on the west side of US 19, to get out. There is still a little bit of time to get that done, but the weather will start going downhill, and once that happens, it may be difficult for emergency vehicles and for first responders to get to folks. So they're asking people to heed that warning, not just from Mr. Hicks, but again from the folks here in Citrus County, to get out while you still can. In Citrus County, Crystal River, Eric Lasser, 10 Tampa Bay.